Hi, my name's David. I'm 24 years old. I live alone in a small rented apartment downtown, which sounds cooler than it is. There's a leak in the bathroom ceiling, the heating makes ghost sounds, and last week a squirrel broke in and stole half a Pop-Tart. I have no girlfriend, no pets, no real hobbies. But apparently, I also have no survival instinct. Because this story is about a microwave and how it nearly ended my life. All because of socks, lube, and chicken nuggets. But let's start from the beginning. It was a regular Tuesday evening. The kind of evening that smells like exhaustion and budget shampoo. I got home from work, kicked off my shoes, and flopped face first onto the couch like a dying Victorian widow. 5 minutes later, hunger struck. Not normal hunger. I should eat a salad hunger. No, this was if I don't eat in 5 minutes I'll chew on the remote kind of hunger. So I dragged myself to the fridge. It was bleak in there, like post-apocalypse bleak. A single open bottle of ketchup, a sad, half-empty pack of oats, and chicken nuggets. Sitting there, mocking me. They were 4 days old, technically edible. Probably. No visible mold. Smell kind of okay. A smarter man would have thrown them out. But I'm not a smarter man. What's the worst that could happen? I mumbled. The gods of irony giggled. I grabbed the nuggets, found a plate. It had a fork stuck to it, but I didn't care and realized the plate was dirty. Washing dishes felt like climbing Everest in flip-flops. So I did what any genius would do. I covered the plate in foil. Yes, metal foil. For the microwave. Because nothing says I deserve a Darwin Award like wrapping semi-rotten nuggets in shiny, sparky death paper. I placed the plate in a microwave like I was laying down an offering to a very tired kitchen god. Set the timer to 1:30. Press start, and walked away. 3 seconds in, I heard hell. Zazap. Crackle. Spark. Ka poof. I spun around. The microwave was flashing like it was hosting a rave for demons. Blue and white sparks exploded behind the glass. Smoke began curling out like a tiny ghost of my common sense leaving my body. I froze, holding the ketchup bottle like it was a weapon, standing there in socks, boxers with cartoon ducks on them, and a t-shirt that said Rise and Fry. And I thought very calmly, well, this is how I die, killed by chicken nuggets. The microwave let out one final, wheezing hiss like it was whispering bro why before going dark. I stood in silence. Everything smelled like burnt shame and desperation. I opened the window, coughing, grabbed the foil-wrapped, nuked mess with a kitchen towel, tossed it into the trash like it was radioactive. Ashes floated gently into the air. One landed on my sock. I stood there, a lone idiot among the ruins of his kitchen. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse. Ding-dong. The doorbell. I opened it, and there stood my neighbor. She looked concerned. David? Hi. Sorry to bother you, but we saw smoke coming from your window. My husband thought maybe we should call the fire department. I blinked. Words failed me. Then, like an idiot, I said, everything's fine. The nuggets just exploded a little. She looked past me, saw the blackened microwave, the smoke, the greasy plate still slightly melting on the counter. Me, shirt wrinkled, duck boxers flapping, socks stained with ash, and a ketchup bottle still clutched like a toddler's teddy bear. Then, Backstreet Boys started playing from the TV. Loudly. Automatically. I wanted that way. I swear we made eye contact during the tell me WHHY part. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. Just two humans sharing a moment of pure, paralyzing secondhand embarrassment. And that was just the beginning. There is a specific kind of silence that only happens after a near-death kitchen event. The kind where even the walls seem to be judging you. I stood there, still clutching the ketchup like it was holy water, while my neighbor's eyes scanned the battlefield I call the kitchen. The microwave was now an ex-appliance. The inside looked like a crime scene. The nuggets? Gone to nugget heaven. And me? Standing in duck boxers, with ash on my socks and Backstreet Boys serenading the awkwardness. I realized I hadn't blinked in about 30 seconds. I just forgot that foil was metal, I finally muttered. My neighbor didn't respond. She simply raised an eyebrow, then slowly turned her head toward the TV, where the chorus hit again. I never want to hear you say. It echoed through the apartment like a bad omen. I lunged for the remote to mute it, But in doing so, I knocked over the trash bin, which spilled the smoldering foil onto the floor. The smoke rose, dramatically, like my dignity evaporating. I was just reheating nuggets. I tried again. They were like for days old, but still looked okay. Her expression didn't change. "Well," she said finally, "next time maybe skip the foil." Then she turned and walked away. No goodbye, no sarcasm, just left. I stood there in stunned silence. The door clicked shut, and I whispered to myself, "Next time? She thinks there'll be a next time?" I shuffled back inside, closed the door, and exhaled. Okay, time to regroup. I opened all the windows, turned on the fan, lit 3 scented candles I got for free with a moisturizer I never used. The apartment now smelled like burnt regret and lavender breeze. I walked toward the sink to wash the trauma off my hands. But apparently, the universe wasn't done with me, because the second I stepped into the hallway, my foot met a cold, slippery death trap. Shower gel. My own damn shower gel bottle had fallen earlier and leaked across the tiles like an oil slick in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. There was a millisecond, one glorious suspended moment, where I realized I was going to fall. I flailed, tried to grab the wall, caught the edge of a towel instead. The towel betrayed me instantly. Slip. Thud. I flew backward like a rejected stunt double. My phone, loyal and stupid, launched from my pocket. In a beautiful cinematic arc, it soared into the living room, landed directly on the TV remote, and somehow managed to do the one thing I feared most. It turned on porn. Full volume. Full screen. Maximum embarrassment. And not the soft kind, either. This was Amazon Warrior Queen 6, Battle for the Throne. "Oh yes, your majesty," blasted from the speakers. At full volume, my brain did that slow-motion panic thing. No words. Just, no, 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 no. I scrambled to my feet, slipped again, and this time landed directly on my elbow. Somewhere in the background, the warrior queens continued their royal conquest. The bathroom echoed with moans. The microwave, still smoking, added a touch of post-apocalyptic aesthetic. And then, another sound. Ding-dong. The doorbell. Again. I froze on the floor. No, not again. Not now. Because I knew. I knew who it was. The neighbor. Back for round 2. She was about to see me wet, bruised, possibly concussed, in duck boxers, surrounded by smoke and echoing moans of fictional royalty. This wasn't just shame. This was legendary shame. I crawled toward the TV like a soldier in a war film. One eye on the screen, one hand reaching for the power button. Outside, I heard her voice again. "David, are you okay?" We heard something. I reached the TV, pressed power. Nothing happened. Pressed again. Still nothing. Then I remembered I never put batteries back in the remote after last week when I rage quit Jeopardy. The only way to shut it off was to pull the plug. I lunged, grabbed the cord, and yanked. The screen went black. Silence. Beautiful, blissful silence. Except I was now lying on the floor, sweaty, shaking, and realizing my laptop was still on the coffee table. Open. Camera light. On. Recording. Because last night, I've been testing my Zoom settings for work, and I forgot to turn the damn thing off. There are moments in life where you pray for the earth to swallow you whole. This was not one of those moments. This was a moment where I wanted the earth to swallow my laptop. Because as I lay sprawled on my floor, bruised, sticky with shower gel, duck boxers askew, the air thick with the residual aroma of shame and lavender, I saw it. The webcam light. Still on. Still blinking. Still recording. No. No, no, no. I whispered, army crawling across the floor like I was defusing a bomb. I reached the table. The screen glowed with the unforgiving image of me, captured in the full cinematic glory of my meltdown. The foil fire microwave explosion. The duck unaware dance. The porno blast. The majestic fall. The floor sobbing. All of it. Recorded. For posterity. For legal evidence. For work. Because this wasn't just any recording software. This was Zoom. And it had auto-upload. To the share drive. The one linked to the company's Slack. Where I was still logged in. Where my boss, the man whose official name is Mr. Devlin, but whose Slack handle is literally Devil, CEO, had direct access. I screamed into a pillow, a primal sound, a sound that translated roughly to, "Oh God, delete, 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 delete." I slammed the laptop shut, then opened it again, then slammed it again, as if I could physically beat the data back into the void. At that moment, ding dong, the third bell of doom. The neighbor. She had to be thinking I was summoning demons. I ignored the door. I had bigger problems. I clicked through Zoom settings, hands shaking like I just robbed a bank. The screen confirmed my worst fear. Recording successfully uploaded. I checked Slack. The video was there, under my name, in the general company channel. Captioned, "Testing Zoom camera. Ignore, LOL." Someone had already reacted with a crying laugh emoji. I stared, froze, accepted death. Then more reactions rolled in. Fire, loudly crying face, poultry leg, socks, skull. Someone replied, "Bro, you okay? Is that Backstreet Boys?" Another one, "New hire training video just dropped." Then the final blow. A message from Devil, CEO himself. "David, see me first thing tomorrow. Bring nuggets." I wanted to die. I tried to die. I dramatically face-planted into my couch and just lay there. In the dark. Backstreet Boys silenced. Porn audio silenced. Laptop closed. Microwave dead. My career also probably dead. Eventually, I got up, put on pants, deleted all social media out of sheer survival instinct. And then, like a man walking to his own execution, I began scrubbing the scorch marks off the microwave. For hours. At 2 a.m., I was still Googling things like, can you get fired for accidental nugget porn? How to fake your own death using only baking soda. Normal human behavior after microwave disaster? I got one useful result. Leave town. Change name. Never reheat anything again. Honestly, tempting. The next morning, I showed up to work, dressed like I was going to court, which emotionally I was. Eyes everywhere. People smiling, nodding, suppressing laughter. In the elevator, someone hummed Backstreet Boys. I died again, spiritually. Then the doors opened, and there he was, Devil, CEO, standing by the break room, holding a paper bag. He handed it to me. I opened it. Inside, chicken nuggets, still warm. He looked me in the eye and said, "David, you're an idiot." I nodded. "Yes, sir, but you're our idiot now." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "We're turning this into a workplace safety training module. Also, marketing loves it. You're trending on TikTok." I couldn't breathe. Take the rest of the day off. Get a fire extinguisher. And underwear without ducks. I walked out in a daze, carrying my nugget bag. No clue how I still had a job. No clue how I became a job. But one thing was clear. This story wasn't over. Because a week later, I got a package. A week passed. I survived. Barely. I went from that quiet guy in marketing to a full-blown office legend. People stopped me in the hallway to quote my own screams back to me. Someone printed a photo of the charred microwave and stuck it on the fridge in the break room with the caption, "He died as he lived, confused and crispy." It would have been funny if it didn't feel so accurate. I tried to get back to normal. I really did. I cleaned my apartment. I bought new boxers, no ducks. I deleted Zoom. Permanently. But shame is clingy. And it didn't help that the video went viral. Not like funny cat viral. Like hashtag nugget nuke trending viral. Someone, probably Trevor from accounting, had clipped it, added slow motion replays, sound effects, and, God help me, a dubstep remix of me slipping on shower gel and launching the porno. Now the internet knew me as Microwave Boy. My face was a meme. A reaction gif. People in a Discord I'd never joined were using my breakdown to express mild annoyance. The cherry on top? A Reddit thread titled, "Microwave Boy, Tragic or Iconic?" The top comment? "He's the spiritual successor to the guy who microwaved a fork and burned down his college dorm. We must protect him." I didn't feel protected. I felt like a greasy, nugget-scented cautionary tale. And then, the box arrived. Brown. Anonymous. No sender name. No return address. It sat at my door like a mysterious threat, or a gift from the universe. Hard to tell at this point. I opened it slowly, expecting anything. Inside, a brand new microwave. Still sealed. Shiny. Safe. and a single sticky note attached. You won't be lucky twice. No foil, dumbass. That was it. No signature. No explanation. Just that message. My hands trembled slightly. From fear. From respect. I looked around the hallway to see if someone was watching. No one. I brought the box inside. Sat on the floor. Stared at it like it was a portal to another timeline. Who sent it? My neighbor? The CEO? My mom, who found out about the video and texted, "David, are you okay? And why are you famous for nuggets?" Or worse, was it a fan? Did I have fans now? No, that couldn't be possible, right? I unpacked the microwave. It was sleek. Digital display. No foil in sight. I plugged it in, and it lit up with a happy beep. Like it didn't know its future involved me. I stood back, suspicious, like the thing might explode just for my contact. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I read the entire user manual, front to back, even the part about popcorn. I underlined things. I highlighted. I took notes, because I was never letting a chicken nugget defeat me again. Later that night, I sat on the couch, holding a fresh box of non-toxic, not expired nuggets. I looked at the microwave. We stared at each other, and I whispered, "Let's try this again," slowly. I placed the nuggets on a ceramic plate. No foil, no funny business. I microwaved them for 1 minute. They came out hot, smelled delicious. No sparks, no flames, no porn. I almost cried. I dipped one in ketchup, took a bite, and looked around my clean, smoke-free apartment. We've come so far, I told myself. And then, from the hallway outside, I heard a noise. A strange, soft thump. Then another, and a whisper. "Is that him? That's the nugget guy." I froze. Went to the door. There, taped to the outside, was another sticky note. "Nice boxers this time." I screamed. I stared at the sticky note on my door like it had just whispered a prophecy. Nice boxers this time. No signature. No handwriting I recognized. Just quiet, anonymous mockery taped to my face like a post-it of doom. I looked down. Today's underwear, plain black. Safe. Mature. Dignified. And someone had noticed, which meant someone had seen me. Today. From where? My hallway? Another apartment? A drone? A tiny, judgmental gnome living in my heating vent? The possibilities were endless, and all of them horrible. I snatched the note and slammed the door shut like it would protect me from embarrassment leaking through the walls. That night, I didn't sleep well. Every sound felt like someone watching. The microwave beeped randomly at 3:17 a.m. I whispered no to it and unplugged it again. In my dreams, I was chased by giant nuggets. One of them wore a crown and screamed in "no foil, dumbass," in my mother's voice. The next morning, I woke up to something worse than horror. Internet fame with momentum. The video was now on YouTube, edited like a documentary. Title: Microwave Boy, a deep-fried disaster. Someone had slowed my fall and added dramatic violin music. Another version replaced my scream with a goat scream. A third had a counter on screen every time I made a bad decision. It stopped counting at 17. Even my former high school crush, Becky, sent me a message. "OMG LOL, I just saw your video. Are you okay?" Faced with tears of joy fire. I didn't know if it was sympathy or foreplay. My inbox had 5 messages from journalists. One for BuzzFeed, one from The Guardian, seriously, and one from a small podcast called Microwave Mayhem, Kitchen Disasters That Changed the World. I wish I was kidding. At work, the vibe was different. People weren't laughing at me anymore. Now, they were respectfully amused. I walked into the break room, and someone handed me a coffee mug that said, "Fire hotter than my microwave fire." Someone else gave me a shirt that said, "Nug Life." Even Trevor from accounting nodded at me like I was a war veteran. I hated how much I liked it. The CEO, devil himself, stopped me by the elevator. "Good job not dying this week, David. Let's keep that streak going." I nodded solemnly, but the paranoia lingered. Every creak in the floorboards made me flinch. Every time my webcam light blinked, I dove for cover. I installed a literal towel curtain over it like a grandma afraid of satellites. And I couldn't stop thinking about that second sticky note. Someone was watching. Was it the neighbor again? One of the weirdos from Reddit? Was I being haunted by the ghost of Nugget Past? Or worse, Was I becoming a meme with fans? Later that week, I walked into a local convenience store. The clerk squinted at me, then said, "Wait, no way. You're the microwave guy, right?" I froze. He pulled out his phone and showed me a gif of myself slipping in slow motion, looping endlessly. "You're a legend, man. We keep a fire extinguisher next to the microwave now, because of you." He said it like I'd inspired health and safety regulations. I didn't know whether to say thank you or commit arson. On my way out of the store, I passed a kid, maybe 12 years old, who looked up from his phone and whispered, "That's him." I ran. Back to my apartment, locked the door, triple-checked my webcam, sat in silence, eating cold nuggets like a squirrel in crisis. Then my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. It simply read, "Fire Day 10. Still no foil. Proud of you." I stared at it. No name. No context. And just as I started typing, "Who are you?" another message popped in. "Check your doorstep." My legs moved before my brain did. I opened the door. Nothing. Except a single item sitting on my doormat. A pair of duck print boxers. With a tag that said, "In case you want to feel like yourself again." I screamed into the hallway. I stood there, frozen, staring at the duck print boxers on my doorstep like they were cursed ancient relics. They weren't in a package. No return address. No note this time, just a tag. "In case you want to feel like yourself again." What does that even mean? Do I look like someone who needs help reconnecting with his duck print identity? Was this symbolic? Was this revenge? Was this flirty? I picked them up cautiously like they might explode. They were new, clean, folded with unnerving care. This wasn't a prank. This was targeted encouragement. Inside, I laid them on the coffee table next to the sticky notes. This had officially escalated from weird to low-level psychological thriller. Someone out there knew my underwear preferences, my nugget habits, my trauma timeline, my doorstep, and instead of calling a therapist or the police, they were sending care packages. Later that day, I checked my apartment hallway cameras. Thank you, paranoia shopping spree. But of course, the only footage was of me standing in duck-patterned pajama pants, looking confused and yelling, "Who are you?" to no one. I was my own jump scare. I did what any rational adult would do. I messaged my neighbor. Me. "Hey, random question. Have you been leaving things at my door?" Neighbor. "No, but I did hear you scream again. Just wanted to check if you're being murdered or just vibing." Fair. I replied with a thumbs up and the nugget emoji. She left it on scene. That night, I sat on the floor, eating perfectly safe nuggets, staring at the mystery boxers, and weighing my life choices like a man deep in philosophical crisis. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt oddly supported. It was like having a guardian angel, but instead of wings and a harp, they had passive-aggressive post-its and access to novelty underwear. The next morning, things got even weirder. As I walked to work, someone honked. I turned. A delivery scooter guy waved. "Microwave boy, right?" Big fan. I blinked. He tossed something into my hands and sped off like Batman after a PR stunt. It was a package. Inside, a tiny plastic fire extinguisher keychain and a card. "In case of snack emergencies. Your secret fan." I sat on a bench in full public daylight, holding an emotional support fire extinguisher and thinking, is this what fame feels like? Not red carpets, not champagne, just nuggets, shame, and surprise merchandise. At the office, the chaos continued. My desk was now covered in mini rubber ducks. Someone changed my Slack profile picture to a chicken nugget with sunglasses. The HR manager walked by and casually asked, "Do you require fire safety training, David? Or is that more of a lifestyle for you?" I smiled. I nodded. But inside, I was spiraling. Who was this mysterious fan? Was it someone from work? A random Reddit stranger? My mom? She did send me a text that just said, "If someone sends you duck underwear, it's a sign from the universe." Or a stalker. Either way, wear clean socks. Thanks, Mom. By now, I was living in a sitcom I hadn't signed up for. I had a haunted microwave past, internet clout I never wanted, a personal quote on BuzzFeed, duck boxers haunting my furniture, and a mystery person who alternated between threatening and weirdly motivating messages. That night, one final message arrived. Unknown number again. You've made it this far without fire or porn. Impressive, but don't get cocky. Mistakes come in threes. I stared at the screen, then at the duck boxers, then at my microwave, and I whispered, "Oh no, what's the third one?" 3 weeks. It had been 3 weeks since the great nugget catastrophe of apartment 304. Since then, I'd survived. An explosive microwave inferno. Accidental adult content at 100 decibels. Internet virality. 2 unsolicited packages of duck print underwear. At least 1 stalker with motivational tendencies. A fire extinguisher keychain. And a very real existential crisis over how easily my life fell apart because of foil. And yet, I felt stronger, wiser, less flammable. That night, I stood in my kitchen, fresh nuggets in hand, a pristine microwave before me, ceramic plate ready, t-shirt tucked in, socks dry. I had prepared for this moment like it was a second date with fate. The mysterious text from my fan still echoed in my head. Mistakes come in threes. I wasn't about to find out what the third one was. Not tonight. I placed 6 nuggets, never 7, never 5. I developed ritualistic respect onto the plate. Set the timer for exactly 1:15. I'd done tests. I consulted Reddit. I was essentially a nugget engineer now. The microwave hummed peacefully. No sparks, no smoke, no soundtrack of erotic queens. Just calm. I stood at a respectful distance, like a man observing a religious ceremony. Hand behind my back, eyes fixed. Ding. They were done. Golden. Crisp. Safe. I opened the microwave like Indiana Jones opening the Ark, but this time, nothing melted my face. I plated the nuggets like I was on MasterChef. Added a dollop of ketchup with a dramatic flourish. Sat down on the couch. Bit into the first one. It was perfect. Warm, slightly crispy, not haunted by trauma. Just a nugget. A redemptive nugget. I smiled for the first time in a month without flinching. Then my doorbell rang. Of course. I opened it cautiously. No one there. Just a box. No label. No note. No duck print this time, thank God. Inside, a single item. A cookbook. Title: The Microwave Gourmet, 101 Things That Probably Won't Kill You. Inside the front cover, a handwritten message. Redemption achieved. You've earned it. P.S. Chapter 3 is just chicken nuggets. I sat down on the floor and laughed, like a man finally released from spiritual captivity. The next day at work, things got weirdly official. My boss, Devil, CEO, called me in. "David," he said, leaning back in his ergonomic throne, "we've been watching your progress." I blinked. "Is that good?" "Very. Your story has become an internal company case study. We're actually launching a whole campaign." He pushed a folder across the desk. It was branded, with my face. I opened it. Tagline: Microwave safe. David tested. David approved. There were posters, stickers, merch ideas, even a bobblehead. I was now the face of cautionary success. And I didn't hate it. Later, I walked back to my desk. A note was waiting there. Different handwriting. Clean. Formal. Corporate. "Nice recovery, David. The duck boxers stay." I never found out who sent the boxers, or the cookbook, or the fire extinguisher, or the handwritten quote in my bathroom that appeared last week reading, "You survived the nugget. You could survive anything." But I started to think, maybe I wasn't being watched. Maybe I was being mentored by some chaotic kitchen guardian angel. And now I live clean. Ceramic plates only. No foil. No adult content near remote controls. No duck boxers unless it's laundry day. But every time I hear that first ding from the microwave, every time I taste that crispy, golden, legally edible nugget, I smile and I whisper, "Never again, you beautiful disaster." It started with the janitor, a guy I barely knew, always silent, always mopping something invisible. One morning, as I passed him on my way to refill my emergency coffee, he stopped, just stopped, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Nice nuggets, microwave boy." And then he vanished into a stairwell like Batman, but with bleach. I didn't know how to respond. Was it admiration? Threat? Urban prophecy? By the time I made it back to my desk, there were 4 new emails in my inbox, each from a different department, each titled simply, "We saw the video." Not a video. The video. The flaming, underwear, lube slip, sonic porn apocalypse that had leaked into the company's Slack weeks ago. But this time, it was being celebrated. Marketing wanted me to inspire risk-aware living. Legal wanted to use my face for training purposes only. HR was weirdly proud I hadn't broken any formal dress code. And IT offered me a backup microwave just in case. I was officially a meme. Within the company, sure, but still a walking, breathing, cautionary legend. I began receiving mysterious high fives in the hallway. Nuggets left on my desk with googly eyes glued to them. One guy even asked me to sign his toaster. But with fame came strange invitations. A woman from R&D slipped me a folded paper during lunch. Inside was one line: "The order of the golden ding awaits." At first, I thought it was a cult, or a pyramid scheme, or maybe both. But I was curious, and also deeply irresponsible with my free time. So I followed the GPS coordinates on the back. That night, I found myself in a dark, dusty storage basement below the office. 3 microwaves were arranged in a circle, each plugged in but not turned on. In the center, a plastic folding table, with one object: a still-warm chicken nugget on a paper towel throne. Behind it stood 5 people in business casual attire, wearing microwave door masks. One of them stepped forward and said, "You have survived the fire. You have faced the sauces of shame. You have risen, battered but not fried." They offered me a nugget. I took it. It was cold, but ceremonial. I was now part of an underground club of workplace disasters turned legends. One guy accidentally 3D printed his own tie to a coworker's face. Another once set off the fire alarm with soup. We were many, and our sacred motto: we F***CK up, so others may not. The next day, I walked back into the office different, calmer, wiser, more microwave aware. A junior employee nervously asked if she could use tinfoil in the new office toaster oven. I gently placed a hand on her shoulder and whispered, "No, Emily, not today." But then, as all great heroes must, I was tested again. That evening, alone at home, I received a package. No return label, no note, just a metallic object inside. A brand new air fryer, with a tag that read, "Let's see how you handle this, microwave boy." I stood there, holding it, sweating, 1,000 duck-printed memories flooding back. And in that moment, I realized, this isn't over. This was just evolution. The box sat on my kitchen counter like a challenge wrapped in aluminum foil. Only this time, no foil allowed. An air fryer, a device that promised crispy, golden perfection without the peril of microwaves or mystery. I stared at it, heart pounding like I'd just been handed a dragon egg. Because after everything, after the explosions, the porno, the duck underwear, and the internet fame, this felt like the ultimate test. I read the manual 3 times. No foil, no metal, no sharp objects inside, no duck boxers while cooking. Got it. I put the nuggets inside the air fryer basket, set the timer, and closed the door. The machine hummed to life. No sparks, no smoke, just the gentle roar of technology doing its thing. I paced around the kitchen nervously. And then, ding, the air fryer beeped like a victorious war horn. I opened it. Golden nuggets stared back at me, glistening with the promise of redemption. I grabbed a nugget, took a bite. Perfect. No burns, no shame, no internet videos. But then the phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Impressive. You're learning. The legend grows." I smiled nervously, and then another message. "But remember, every hero faces setbacks." I glanced at the air fryer. It gleamed innocently, too innocently. The next day at work, I was called into a mysterious meeting. The whole Order of the Golden Ding was there, this time in a secret conference room decorated with microwave parts and chicken nugget memorabilia. The leader, still wearing that ridiculous microwave door mask, spoke. "David, you have proven yourself worthy. But the final trial approaches." He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a note. "Beware the snack drawer." My heart skipped a beat. Later, at my desk, I opened the snack drawer. Inside, a single pair of socks, wet socks, and a small bottle of lubricant. I blinked. The message was clear. The saga of the microwave was not over. The wet socks and the bottle of lubricant lay in my snack drawer like an ominous riddle. My mind raced through every possible explanation. Was this a prank? A warning? Or some twisted challenge from my mysterious mentor? I stared at the socks, then the lube, then the socks again. Suddenly, a sinking feeling washed over me. It all made sense. The microwave, the foil, the socks on the floor, the slippery gel, the porno, the internet fame, the duck boxers. It was a cycle, a test, a cosmic joke. That night, I prepared for the final showdown. I put on dry socks, left the lube untouched, cleared the snack drawer, locked the door. The air fryer sat gleaming on the counter. I placed the nuggets inside, set the timer, waited. Ding! Victory! Golden, crispy, perfect nuggets. I took a bite and smiled. At last, peace. But just as I relaxed, my phone buzzed. A final text. Well done, David. You've survived the microwave of doom. But remember, life is like a nugget. Sometimes crispy, sometimes messy. Always worth the heat. I laughed, for the first time in weeks. And I knew, no matter what crazy kitchen disasters lay ahead, I was ready.